Hi, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to the Let's Keep Moving with Risha podcast. This is Risha. I'm a motivational speaker, content creator, and I love talking about things that will help you keep moving in your life, especially on areas like your life, mental health, love, growth, and everything in between. So if you're ready, let's keep moving. Hello, friends. I'm super excited to share with you my whole Singapore experience. And who am I without the lessons, diba? That came with that first time experience. It's my first international trip ever. I think I've made it pretty clear from my previous episodes how my family is actually not fond of traveling. It's never been part of the culture. Hindi ko alam. We find solace and fun and peace in the little things. Traveling means just visiting a family, kapag nakapag-travel lang kapag may bibisitahin pamilya or like mag-work, pero yung traveling solely for traveling, that's not us. So, to be able to treat the whole family, except my dad, kasi hindi siya mahilig sa mga ganito, is a huge win for me. And I'm super excited to share with you the lessons I learned from that trip. Don't worry, what I will share is purely personal, it's purely motivational, and it's deeply personal talaga, and not the super political type. Alam ko na, super alam nyo na Philippines is so far from so many Southeast Asian countries, and hindi ko na super i-share how amazed I am with everything. Pero yun nga, quickly lang, everything was just so advanced. The transportation system, their MRT, yung discipline ng mga tao, everything is cashless. Advanced ang lahat. So, it's an amazing experience dahil doon. It made everything just so seamless and so fast. And di talaga kami naligaw or anything because a huge factor was Singapore itself has very reliable and efficient transportation system. So that's a huge plus. Gets you na yun, diba? I knew that from the very beginning. I've heard my cousins or friends or people online talk about how far we are from those countries. And to experience it myself was mind-boggling kasi syempre it makes me realize nga how far we are from these countries. Apart from realizing how far we are from these countries, it gives me hope. And maybe this is my optimism talking, but it really does give me hope. I know that's so unlikely of a realization, but it really gives me hope that yes, it's gonna take us so many years before we get to be able to call ourselves first world countries or something like that. Pero it really gives me hope na if it was possible for other countries, it's definitely possible for us before they become the country they are today. Singapore, Korea, and other Southeast Asian countries, before they become the country they are today, there were also a corrupt country because of government officials. I think Singapore during the 1950s or 70s yata, super corrupt nila. Before they even reach to this point, sobrang daming changes at na-trigger din yung mga corrupt politicians at that time. And they had laws na and they had to call it out na. I actually can suggest an essay that you should read. I believe its title is that my essay about the Philippines yata by Jaeyoon Kim. I'm not sure, but let me search it. My essay about the Philippines. It's so weird. Ayan. Tama, my short essay about the Philippines by Jaeyoon Kim. I actually had read this back when I was in 10th grade because I attended like a seminar by a historian, Sir Victor Manuel. And I love the essay kasi it's very straight to the point. And super simple lang nung thought ng essay. Etong essay na to, my short essay about the Philippines by Jaeyoon Kim. So, Jaeyoon Kim is a Korean. It's widely circulated. And ito yung 2010s reflection niya comparing the Philippines and South Korea. What he meant was, the state of the Philippines right now is nothing compared to the state of South Korea during Korean War or during the onset of that war. Kasi at that time, they were actually experiencing the worst of it all. Their countrymen is dying because of a lack of food or famine and all that. So parang pinopoint out ni Jae Kim na our problem is actually not corruption. Our problem is we don't love the Philippines. And that's a huge claim already in itself. Pero you should check it out. I could link it down in the description para ma-check nyo din. Pero what I love about it is that it was emphasized by a Korean that what we should do right now is to love the Philippines. Love the Philippines, love the Filipino people. Because marami pa din namang corrupt sa ibang bansa. As in, we have no idea how some other countries are also corrupt, but they love their country. And another thing, before I move on to this particular episode of ours about my realization to Singapore, is naalala ko kasi favorite essay ko siya back when I was in 10th grade. Sabi niya doon, during that time na sobrang hirap na hirap yung South Korea, what the Korean government did is they persuaded yata all of the great engineers, great nurses, basically their countrymen na nasa ibang bansa to go back to South Korea and serve the country para mapataas yung ekonomiya nila at the time. Kasi how are they supposed to like improve the state or develop their country if yung mga magagaling na Koreans, na engineers, na doctors, na lawyers, na nurses and everyone is working for other countries. So isa yun sa mga pinoint out dun sa essay. I would love to talk about it actually sa mga short form videos ko, pero you should check it out. I will link it in the description down below. Okay, so anyway, I want to talk about my whole experience, our first ever international trip in Singapore. It was amazing. Like what I told you, grabe yung experience ko. If you're curious to know the lessons I learned from our very first international trip, but this is all deeply personal. I love these lessons I came up with, and hopefully you also get to learn something kasi you don't also just get to apply this when you're traveling, you also get to apply this in real life. So if you're excited to know my lessons from my recent Singapore trip, then without further ado, let's keep moving. Just to be fair, I wanna say that I was the one who handled everything. As in, nag-impake na lang yung kapatid ko at yung mama ko ng mga gagamitin nila. But I was the one who managed everything. I booked the plane ticket. I spent money on it. I handled the itinerary. I handled all our requirements. Ako yung nag-book ng lahat ng trips and tourist spots na pupuntahan namin. So, I just got all the lessons basically because it's the first time that I get to do this na I handled everything. Kasi I hate navigating stuff. Even if I'm a Virgo, parang feeling ko, kahit I find joy in this, nakaka-stress din siya. Pero I'm so proud I managed. But my first lesson is definitely always ask questions. And feeling ko, alam ko naman na tama to at kailangan ko i-practice. Pero minsan kasi, with all the things that happen, natatakot na din ako magtanong. But this tip, this lesson saved me. As in, from boring ourselves and para hindi kami maligaw, sinave talaga ako nito. And it's amazing to be able to talk to locals as if we know each other for so long. But I guess this leads me to a deeper lesson more than just asking questions, but to be more trusting to people. Kasi ako, personally speaking, I don't trust people too much, especially strangers. And you cannot blame me for that, okay? Kasi napakadaming crimes, napakadaming mga bagay akong napapanood, nakikita online, and it stems from trusting people or trusting the wrong people. So I want to be more careful, and that's what I did. But the moment we landed, or on our first day, we were able to talk to, or I was able to talk to a couple of Grab drivers. They shared some good local spots or restaurants we should try, some spots or tourist spots we should try, what time of the day we should try it, paano kami pupunta doon, sa kami sasakay, ano yung mga food na dapat namin i-try, and ano yung dapat kami maging careful when traveling. But yeah, Singapore is very safe naman. So, no issues with that at all. But basically, oh my God, the moment we land, it felt unnatural. The first Grab driver we booked, we had a hard time booking it. It was so expensive. But kinukuha pa lang niya yung baggages namin. Siyempre, there's a language barriers. He's Indian, so iba talaga yung pagkakasabi niya ng mga words niya. But I love it when he mentioned na, oh, you have empty baggages for shopping, huh? And we just laugh it off. And it just felt so unnatural to me. Kasi nga, yun nga, hindi nga ako ma-talk to people. So, parang feeling ko that's not me. But I was so happy. Like, after just that first trip, papunta pa lang sa hotel, I knew that God is like guiding me all throughout. Kasi the whole conversation, I think it's 15 to 20 minutes from the airport to our hotel. I felt like we're guided. It's just beautiful and I'm so grateful for it. Kasi nung paalis pa lang ng airport, sabi ni Grab driver, oh, aside from this payment of yours, you have to like pay me another $200. And I was like, for what? And it was like, because you're not wearing seatbelt. And he was laughing. We ended up laughing because it was his way of telling me you have to wear seatbelt all the time. Because I'm not used to being in the front seat, so or passenger seat. I used to be always at the back. Super happy that I got reminded of that, and it wouldn't happen if I wasn't talking to this person or if I wasn't talking to this Grab driver. So I appreciate those little things. Para kasing whenever I talk to strangers, I find it very weird. And at the same time, yun nga, I find it very risky because whenever you talk to people, you're giving them an opportunity to take advantage of you. That's my thinking. Pero the moment na I realize na there's no harm in like having a few conversations with these people, knowing naman I'm with my family or my sister, I think would be good. I have to be honest, I'm quite a deep person. So I find it hard to look for people who could be as deep as I am. And sometimes I don't just judge these people. I have to be honest, I judge myself too na yung mga little conversations, yung mga mild or surface level conversations, I couldn't handle those conversations. Yun yung idea ko. But after doing that for a couple of Grab drivers, especially the one we also had, when we were finished sa Gardens by the Bay, it was just real. To be able to talk to someone na hindi Pilipino, hindi Pilipina, it's amazing because they're actually willing to help. But after doing that, yun nga, it puts me at ease and it was a relief because finally I can try. I can try talking to people. And I know na if I was able to talk to a different nationality, then definitely I can also use that as practice in the future. Kapag may mga kausap din ako na hindi ko kakilala or I would want to start or strike a conversation, then it's gonna be easy for me. I find it as practice, di ba? And it's cool. I can exactly remember every single thing about it. And it's beautiful. Dun ko na-realize na that's what you really get from traveling. You really get to meet new cultures, new people, new ways of living. You don't even have to do anything about it. It's not something like, I need to apply this at home. But it's just the thought of being able to have that kind of experience na dala-dala mo when you go back home. So it feels like you're a different person. The next lesson I want to talk about is this. If things didn't go as planned, let it go. I mean, it's so hard to travel with your family, as in, you'd really get to know them. So many times na nag-away kami, ang iinit ng ulo namin because we can't find this and that and we're so hungry and everything. And my itinerary was completely trashed. Not a single one was followed. I hate it. As a Virgo, I hate it. I personally hate it when the things I worked hard for, the things I planned, hindi nasunod. So parang I have to constantly remind myself the entire trip that it's about finding beauty in the unexpected moments. Kahit naiinis ako kasi hindi siya nasunod. But it's not just about the place. It's the experience, and definitely it's the people I'm with. So even if things didn't go as planned, I think a reminder na being with your family is a perfect example that things did go as planned. You're still with them. I can choose to be upset about it. I can choose to be angry about it the entire trip, but I can choose differently. That's quite of a realization. And I always have a choice. If things didn't go as planned, no matter the tension, no matter the odds, no matter the emotion happening, I can always decide to choose differently. I can always choose to have fun, to set that emotion aside, to set what happened aside. And it's a good practice whenever you're at home because most of the time, almost all of the time, you'll be triggered by a lot of external factors. And you need to be as calm as you need to be para hindi ka makapagpa-apekto sa mga bagay na nasa paligid mo. Before we move on to the third one, we actually have 5 lessons for this episode. If you're currently finding value in today's podcast episode, I truly appreciate it if you can give this episode a 5-star rating. It really helps us reach more people and continue delivering meaningful content. I'd love it when you guys are commenting and giving ratings for this podcast because it's also like a review for other people who want to try it. So, let's get back to the episode. Ito groundbreaking tong realization na to for me. And I realized this during our last day. And I chose to run. Talagang dinala ko yung running shoes ko because there's no way I'm leaving Singapore without ever having to run sa Fort Canning Park. And I did it. I'm so happy. It's also the time na nakapagpa-picture ako doon sa tunnel. It's beautiful to be able to manage it alone. Kasi all throughout the trip naman, I was with my family. Pero this third one is so special for me. No one is paying so much attention on you. No one knows you. And how freeing that is. I don't know, but I find it weird whenever you're vlogging in public here in the Philippines. Parang ang weird niya and people will look at you. And hindi lang yun based on my imagination. Siguro 90% of that or 80% of that is my imagination that people are judging you. But 20% or 10%, it could possibly be true that people are judging you. But when I was there, I find it so freeing that I can talk whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I can act whatever or however the way I want because no one cares. As in, no one cares. When I travel there, no one cares. And even if they do, I don't care because I don't know them. I don't even know who they are. They are literally from different races and they don't care about me. When I run, I was vlogging and I was speaking out loud and nobody cared. And everyone is just too occupied with their lives. So hopefully, yan yung madala ko dito. People are not putting so much attention on me as I think they are. They are busy with their lives too. Everything else is just, sitting on my imagination. And I don't want to ruminate yung situations na kagaya ng ganun. I mean, it could possibly be true na they are thinking about me or they said something about me, but it's only gonna last for 2 seconds. Believe me, they have a life of their own na kailangan din nilang asikasuhin. And who are you to be able to occupy their lives or like their day at least, 'di ba? So, isa 'yun sa mga lessons na natutunan ko from that. The next thing that I want to share is how amazing God was for this very huge blessing. I've mentioned how I was raised in a community where, travel is a luxury and we cannot afford to travel. What a privilege, diba, to be the first in the family to be able to travel solely for leisure or travel purposes or vacation purposes and not for work and not because we just had to visit a family member. My fourth lesson is yes, I can afford to travel. That's the lesson in itself. Super laki ng expenses. To be honest, I can choose to go by myself, but I made a quiet prayer to the Lord that one day when I can afford to travel, if it's God's will, hopefully I get to have this first international trip with my family. And God made it real this year. So it's a reminder that you have to dream big. You really have to dream big. Kasi even if you won't achieve it, for sure you'd get a pretty nice view or you'd at least land on something bigger than you ever imagined. So it's it's life-changing for me and I couldn't be more grateful kasi alam ko na yung mga opportunities na yon. It was also because of this community that made me afford that or have that kind of privilege or luxury, and for that I will always and forever be grateful. More than that, super sarap sa feeling that I get to be able to treat my family, my mom and my sister, and seeing my mom so happy, seeing my sister so happy, and experience it for the first time, it was a memory that will forever be etched in my heart, and it was all worth it. Like I remember every bit of it, and I think I will always do. And every single penny I paid was worth it. Definitely worth it. The whole experience, the lessons, the people, the spots, all worth trying. So many people kind of discourage me na wag Singapore kasi boring doon, or like magastos doon, or super expensive doon. But guess what? My God is not on a budget. My Lord is not on a budget. So I can choose to listen to these people, and I chose not to, and I'm so grateful na hindi ako nakinig, because we had so much fun, and we're so grateful na pinili namin ang Singapore. The final lesson I learned from our trip to Singapore is that I can always figure it out, like I always do. And this leads to a deeper lesson, like before, na I have to trust my instinct more. If I was able to trust it back when I was in a different country, I definitely can do that and practice that now that I'm home. I have to say na I'm the worst navigator. Like, I hate figuring out the transportation system. Like, I hate, alam nyo, I live in Batangas, but whenever I go to Manila, I never use the MRT. Maybe it's the system itself. I think I've only used it for like a couple of times or a few times before. Pero I always use Grab talaga, or like Angkas, para din mapabilis, or para hindi ko na i-navigate at all. Kasi I point A to point B na lang naman. I'm the worst navigator. Or baka, yun nga, bakit lang din talaga yung system. Pero madalas akong maligaw. Kaya dito nga sa Batangas, naliligaw ako, as in. I remember, parang first time ko sa Batangas City because of university and college. And napapunta ako sa ibang bayan kasi mali ako nang nasakyan jeep. Ganon kalala. I don't know, but when I was there, hindi kami naligaw. Maybe it's the system, but it's also a reminder for me na I can trust myself more. Na even if maligaw man kami, I always know how to find my way back home. And it's okay to be lost for as long as you have the courage to be able to find your way back home. Yun nga, I got lost already multiple times back in the past. And pag nagde-date din kami ni Jurens, most of the time, actually all the time, siya yung nagde-navigate kung saan kami pupunta. Ako lang yung maghahanap kung ano yung pupunta namin. Pero siya na yung bahala kung saan kami pupunta or kung paano kami pupunta doon. Habang kausap ko yung mga managers ko, because I mentioned that we're going to Singapore, na-mention ko that I'll be the one to navigate, and I chose not to figure it out here kasi malilito lang ako. Sabi ko, I'll just figure it out as I go there kasi na-overstimulate yung brain ko kung i-figure out ko siya dito. And the whole trip, I was the one who did it all. I was the one who searched and figured out the transportation system, the MRT, the buses, the Grab, the bookings, everything. Ako yung nag-figure out kung ano yung fastest way to go there, or ano yung mas efficient na way to go there. And you know what? First day pa lang, na-realize ko na kaya ko pala. Even if I can't at that moment, I can always choose to figure it out. It's a lesson for me back home na if I was able to trust myself on a different country, trusting myself with navigation, with everything, with the planning and everything, I think I can trust myself more now that I'm here in my own country, diba? Not just in navigating places, but in navigating life. And it gives me a little confidence na hopefully soon, mas ma-practice ko because of that trip. If there is one thing that the entire Singapore trip reminded me of, is that growth does not always happen in dramatic or life-altering moments. Sometimes it happens quietly and in small realizations you bring home with you. And I think all the lessons that I've learned, those 5 things that I've learned, it made that trip extra special. I did not just come home with photos or videos or memories of beautiful places. I came home with a new perspective, with an opportunity to slow down and take a step back and figure out what I really want in life and figure it out slowly. I came home more open to talking to strangers. I came home more aware that I always have a choice in how I respond and how I handle things. And I came home lighter knowing that people are not thinking about me as much as I think they are. I came home grateful, realizing na I can afford experiences like that. I once thought na I couldn't, or I once thought were impossible for me. Singapore may be far ahead in systems, discipline, and structure. And yes, it made me realize how far we still have to go as a country. But strangely, it did not discourage me. It then gave me hope. Because if something that advanced exists in the world, then growth is possible. It definitely is, and progress is possible. And in my own small life, improvement and advancement and development is possible too. This trip reminded me that I am not stuck in who I used to be. And I am allowed to grow. I am allowed to try. I am allowed to change the narrative that I have about myself. And maybe yun yung real souvenir ko from that trip. It's not just simply the photos, the videos, the skyline, the itinerary, or the passport stamp. But those are all worth it. Those are all what I'm after for. But the quiet confidence na wherever I go next, whether it's another country or just another season of my life or another opportunity, I can always choose to handle it and I can always figure it out. And so can you. That's about it, everybody. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something from today's conversation. And for the poll, I want to ask you, which one are you currently working on? Are you working on trusting yourself more, on being flexible with your plans, on being or caring less about the opinions of other people, on allowing yourself to enjoy your hard work and being more open to people? Which among these things are you currently working on? If you also enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who might need a little extra encouragement. And you can also share your takeaways on social media. I'd love to hear and I'd love to see all of your stories. I'm trying my best kasi minsan nagre-redirect siya dun sa request messages na minsan hindi ko nakikita dun sa notifications ko. But I'm trying. I'm always checking it out. Again, this has been your friend and your host, Risha. Know that I am grateful for you. I've always been. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you big time. I'll see you soon. And until then, don't forget to always keep moving. Bye!